The Galactic Military Academy floated in space like a giant metal city. It moved slowly around the gray moon of Kepler 442c, far from any home world. Inside its thick walls, over 10,000 young beings from dozens of different planets learned how to fight, lead, and survive in the cold darkness of space. Cadet Ji-won Kim walked down the long hallway toward Training Room 7. His black hair was cut short in military style, and his brown eyes looked straight ahead. At 19 years old, he was older than most second-year students, but humans had only joined the Galactic Alliance 5 years ago. They were still the new kids in a very old school. Other cadets moved past him in the hallway. Most were much taller than Ji-won. A group of blue-skinned Altarians walked by, their forearms swinging as they talked in their musical language. Behind them came 2 Zephyrians, their green scales catching the artificial light. Their yellow eyes looked down at Ji-won with the same expression most aliens gave humans, like he was an interesting but harmless pet. Ji-won had gotten used to those looks. When humans first applied to join the academy, the other species had laughed. Earth was a small planet on the edge of known space. Humans had no energy shields, no plasma weapons, no genetic improvements. They still used metal bullets and chemical explosives. Most aliens thought humans would quit after the first week of training. That was 2 years ago. Ji-won was still here. "Hey, Ji-won," a voice called in Korean. He turned to see instructor Minji Park walking toward him. She was 28 with the lean build of someone who had spent years in combat. Her black uniform had the silver bars of a lieutenant on the collar. "Good morning, Instructor Park," Ji-won said, also in Korean. It felt good to speak his own language. English was the official language of the academy, but Korean felt like home. "Ready for combat training?" Minji asked. She had been an officer in Earth Special Forces before coming to the academy. She was one of only 3 human instructors in the entire school. "Always ready," Ji-won replied. Minji smiled, but her eyes were serious. "Remember what I taught you. Speed and thinking beat size and strength. Every time." They walked into training. Room 7 together. The room was huge, with a white floor marked with colored lines. Other cadets were already warming up. Ji-won counted 12 different species in the room. The Brontanians were easy to spot. They were the biggest, standing almost 9 feet tall, with thick gray skin like armor. One of the Brontanians, Sergeant Krull, stood near the weapons rack. He was an instructor, not a cadet. His massive frame was covered in scars from 15 years of galactic warfare. When he saw Ji-won enter, his small black eyes narrowed. "Today we practice hand-to-hand combat," Sergeant Krull announced in his deep, rumbling voice. "Pair up, different species together. Learn how your enemies fight." The cadets quickly formed pairs. A tall Altarian cadet named Voss walked over to Ji-won. Voss had 4 arms and skin like blue metal. He was strong and fast, but Ji-won had fought him before. "Try not to break too quickly, human," Voss said with a grin that showed his sharp teeth. "I'll try my best," Ji-won replied calmly. They moved to the center of a marked circle on the floor. Sergeant Krull watched them closely. So did many other cadets. Humans fighting aliens was still new enough to draw crowds. "Begin," Krull commanded. Voss attacked immediately. His forearms moved like lightning, trying to grab Ji-won from different angles. Most opponents would try to block or dodge away. Instead, Ji-won stepped forward, inside Voss's reach. He grabbed one of Voss's arms and used the alien's own momentum to spin him around. 3 seconds later, Voss was on the ground, 3 of his forearms twisted behind his back. "Yield," Voss said quickly. Ji-won let him go and helped him stand up. Around them, other cadets had stopped their own fights to watch. This always happened when humans won. The aliens couldn't understand how it was possible. Again, Sergeant Krull ordered. His voice was harder now. They fought again. This time Voss was more careful, but the result was the same. Ji-won used speed and technique to win in under 10 seconds. The third match lasted longer, but Ji-won still won. "Enough," Krull said. He walked over to them, his heavy footsteps making the floor shake slightly. "Cadet Voss, you are strong but predictable. Cadet Kim, He paused, looking down at G1 with obvious dislike. You fight like a coward. No honor, no strength, just tricks. Several alien cadets nodded in agreement. They came from warrior cultures, where strength and courage mattered more than winning. To them, G1's fighting style looked weak and dishonest. I fight to win, G1 said simply. Winning without honor is meaningless, Krull replied. In real battle, tricks will not save you when you face a true warrior. Instructor Minji Park stepped forward. Sergeant Krull, Cadet Kim won 3 matches against a stronger opponent. That shows skill, not cowardice. Krull's eyes shifted to Minji. Instructor Park, your species has been in space for 5 years. Mine has fought galactic wars for 3 centuries. Do not lecture me about combat. The room went quiet. Everyone knew that Krull was a famous warrior. He had fought in the Centauri, border wars, and the Great Rebellion. His battle record was perfect. He had never lost a single fight. My species has been fighting wars for much longer than 5 years, Minji said calmly. We just fought them on one planet instead of many. Fighting savages with primitive weapons is not the same as galactic warfare, Krull replied. G1 felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his face calm. He had learned to control his emotions during his first year at the academy. Getting angry only made the other species think humans were weak and unstable. Class dismissed, Krull announced. Tomorrow we will practice with energy weapons. Try not to hurt yourselves, humans. As the cadets filed out of the room, several aliens made jokes about human weakness. G1 ignored them. He had heard it all before. But he noticed that more and more cadets were watching him now. His consistent wins were starting to make them nervous. That evening, G1 sat in the human section of the academy cafeteria. There were only 47 human cadets in the entire school, so they usually ate together. The food was designed to be edible for all species, which meant it tasted like nothing. Krull really doesn't like you, said Hyeon, another Korean cadet. He was in his first year and still got excited about everything. Krull doesn't like any of us, G1 replied. But he especially doesn't like that we're better than he expected. Are we really that good? Asked Suhi, a quiet girl from Busan. She was studying engineering but took combat classes like everyone else. Instructor Minji sat down at their table. You're better than good, she said quietly. You're starting to scare them. And scared people do dangerous things. Ji-won looked up at her. What do you mean? Minji glanced around to make sure no one was listening. The Academy administration is talking about separating human cadets into different training programs. Some of the alien instructors think we might be enhanced somehow. Enhanced how? Suhi asked. They think Earth's government gave us secret genetic improvements or hidden technology. They can't believe we're winning so much just by being smart and adaptable. Ji-won thought about this. What happens if they find out we're not enhanced? Minji's expression grew serious. Then they'll have to accept that humans are naturally better at combat than they thought. And some species won't like that idea at all. Outside the cafeteria windows, stars glittered in the endless black of space. Somewhere among those stars were the homeworlds of dozens of alien species. All of them had advanced technology, genetic improvements, and centuries of space warfare experience. But none of them had grown up on Earth. None of them had learned to survive on a planet where everything wanted to kill them. And that, Ji-won was beginning to understand, might be the most important advantage of all. 3 weeks after the sparring incident, the Academy buzzed with strange rumors. Human cadets were winning too much. Their test scores kept climbing. In strategy classes, they solved problems that had puzzled alien military minds for decades. Commander Vextar, the Academy's head of combat training, sat in his office reviewing the latest reports. His reptilian features showed confusion as he read the numbers. In the past month, humans had won 73% of all combat exercises. They represented less than 5% of the student body. This makes no sense, he muttered in his hissing voice. A knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. Enter, he called. Sergeant Krull walked in, his massive frame filling the doorway. His gray skin looked darker than usual, a sign of anger in Brontanian physiology. "Commander, we have a problem," Krull said without greeting. "The humans?" Vextar asked. "Today's war simulation. Team 7 was supposed to be easy prey. 3 humans against 12 experienced alien cadets. Guess who won?" Vextar's yellow eyes narrowed. "How?" "They didn't fight fair," Krull growled. "They used the environment, set traps, made the other team fight on human terms instead of following proper military doctrine. But they won. In 8 minutes, complete victory, 0 casualties on their side." Vextar looked at his computer screen again. Team 7 had included Jiwan, Kim, Hyenpak, and a female engineer named Suhi. 3 second-year humans against some of the Academy's best alien cadets. "Show me the recording," Vextar ordered. The holographic display activated, showing the training arena from above. It was designed to look like a damaged space station with twisted metal corridors and broken machinery. Team 7 started at one end, the alien team at the other. "Watch this," Krull said, pointing at the screen. The alien cadets moved in perfect formation, just like the textbooks taught. They advanced slowly, checking corners, covering each other with military precision. It was beautiful to watch, except they never found their enemies. Meanwhile, the humans had immediately split up. Jiwan crawled through air vents that were too small for most alien species. Hyun used broken pipes to create a noise diversion on the opposite side of the arena. Suhi, the engineer, rewired some of the training equipment to create false energy readings. "They're not following any known tactical doctrine," Krull complained. "No," Vextar agreed. "They're improvising, adapting to the situation." The alien team became confused when their sensors showed enemies everywhere and nowhere. While they tried to figure out what was happening, Jiwan dropped from a ceiling vent behind them. He used a training shock weapon to stun 3 cadets before the others even knew he was there. Hyun attacked from the side using debris as cover. Suhi had turned some broken machinery into an improvised flash bomb. In less than 8 minutes, 12 experienced alien cadets were down. "This is not warfare," Krull said, his voice rising. "This is cheating." "Is it?" Vextar asked quietly. "They ignored all military protocols. They fought like animals." Vextar paused the recording. "They fought like humans, and they won." That afternoon, Jiwan walked into advanced tactics class 15 minutes early. He liked to review the lesson materials before other students arrived. Today's topic was multi-species combat coordination. Professor Thyron, a tall insectoid from the Kepler system, was setting up the holographic projector. His 6 arms moved independently as he arranged the classroom. "Ah, Cadet Kim," Thyron said in his clicking voice. "Early as always. Tell me, how do humans learn so quickly?" "We practice a lot," Jiwan answered honestly. "Yes, but there's something else. Your species adapts faster than any we've encountered." "Why?" Jiwan thought about the question. "Maybe because we had to. Our planet was dangerous. If we didn't adapt quickly, we died." "Interesting. And this danger, it was from other humans?" "From everything. Animals, weather, disease, other humans. Earth tried to kill us every day for thousands of years." Professor Thyron's large compound eyes focused on Jiwan. "Most species developed space travel to escape their homeworlds. Humans developed space travel to find new things to fight." Before Jiwan could respond, other cadets began entering the classroom. The conversation ended, but Jiwan noticed how Professor Thyron watched him for the rest of the lesson. Later that evening, Instructor Minji called a meeting of all human cadets. They gathered in the small recreation room that had become their unofficial headquarters. 47 humans in black academy uniforms representing Earth's best and brightest. "We need to talk," Minji said once everyone was seated. "The alien instructors are asking questions, lots of questions." "What kind of questions?" asked Dongho, a tall cadet from Seoul. "They want to know if Earth's government enhanced us genetically, if we have hidden technology, if we're using some kind of combat drugs." The room went quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. "They can't believe we're just normal?" Suhi asked. Normal humans, yes. But apparently normal humans are more dangerous than they expected. How dangerous? Ji-won asked. Minji looked directly at him. Dangerous enough that some species are demanding we be removed from combat training. They think we're too unpredictable to fight alongside. And what does the Academy say? Commander Vextar is trying to keep us here, but pressure is building. If something goes wrong, if there's an incident, they might send all humans back to Earth. 2 days later, during routine sparring practice, something went very wrong. Cadet. Hyun was paired against a Zephyrian named Vextalk. It was supposed to be a simple wrestling match using training rules. No weapons, no permanent damage. Fight until one opponent yielded. Hyun was winning. He had used a move Minji taught him to get behind Vextalk and control his arms. The Zephyrian was about to yield when Sergeant Krull suddenly called out, "Stop! Illegal hold!" Hyun looked up, confused. The hold was perfectly legal according to Academy rules. In that moment of distraction, Vextalk broke free and struck Hyun in the back with his elbow spines. They were supposed to be covered with protective padding, but the padding was missing. Hyun screamed and fell forward. 3 deep puncture wounds bled through his training uniform. "Medical emergency," someone shouted. As medics rushed to help, Hyun. Ji-won stared at Sergeant Krull. The Brontanian showed no concern for the injured human. If anything, he looked satisfied. "That was no accident," Ji-won said loudly. The training room went silent. Everyone turned to look at him. "Excuse me?" Krull rumbled. "You told Hyun to stop when he was winning legally. Then his opponent just happened to have damaged safety equipment. That's not an accident." Krull's small black eyes fixed on Ji-won. "Are you accusing me of something, Cadet?" "I'm stating facts. You don't like humans. You've made that clear. Now one of us is injured because you interfered in a legal hold." Other cadets stepped back, sensing danger. Instructor Minji tried to move closer, but Krull held up one massive hand. "You think you're very clever, human," Krull said slowly. "You think your tricks make you a warrior. But you've never faced real combat. You've never killed or been willing to die." "Have you tested that theory?" Ji-won asked. The room went completely silent. What Ji-won had just said sounded very much like a challenge. In Brontanian culture, challenges were serious business. Krull smiled, showing teeth like broken glass. "Actually, yes. I invoke right of combat, traditional Brontanian rules. Fight to unconsciousness, surrender, or death." Krull, no. Commander Vextar had just entered the training room. "You cannot challenge a cadet. Academy regulations allow formal combat between any 2 individuals of legal age, with proper witnesses," Krull replied. "Check the rules, Commander." Vextar looked like he wanted to argue, but Krull was right. The regulations were clear. "This is insane," Minji said. "Ji-won, you don't have to accept." Ji-won looked around the room. Every alien cadet was watching him. Some looked excited. Others seemed nervous. A few appeared scared, not for Krull, but of what might happen if humans proved they could fight as well as they could think. He thought about Hyun, now being carried away on a medical stretcher. He thought about all the comments about human weakness, human cowardice, human tricks. He thought about Earth, and every human who would come to this academy after him. "I accept," Ji-won said clearly. The training room erupted in shocked voices. Instructor Minji grabbed his arm. "Ji-won, he's killed people in combat, real combat. You're 19 years old." "I'm 19 years old from Earth," Ji-won replied. "That's different." Sergeant Krull laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "Tomorrow evening, Training Arena 1, full Academy witness protocols. Try to die with honor, little human." As the crowd dispersed, Ji-won remained calm, but inside his mind he was already planning. Krull was bigger, stronger, more experienced, and had natural weapons. He was also arrogant, predictable, and had no idea what humans were really capable of. This was going to be interesting. Training Arena. One had never been so crowded. Word of the combat challenge had spread through the academy like fire. By evening, over 2,000 cadets and instructors packed the viewing galleries. Representatives from dozens of species had come to watch a human fight a legendary Brontanian warrior. Ji-won stood in the preparation room, checking his academy uniform one last time. The rules allowed no weapons, no armor, no equipment beyond standard clothing. Across the arena, Sergeant Krull was probably doing the same thing. Instructor Minji paced back and forth like a caged animal. "This is suicide," she said for the 10th time. "Krull has fought in 3 galactic wars. He's never lost a single combat, never even been seriously injured." "I know," Jiwon replied calmly. "Do you know what a Brontanian can do with their bare hands? Their claws can cut through steel. Their skin is like natural armor. They're 3 times stronger than humans." "I know that too." Minji stopped pacing and stared at him. "Then why are you so calm?" Jiwon looked up at her. "Because I spent last night studying Brontanian anatomy files in the Academy medical database. Did you know they have a major nerve cluster right below their lower ribs? It controls their entire motor system. Knowing where to hit and actually hitting it are very different things." "True, but Krull doesn't know I know. And he's been fighting other aliens for 15 years. They all fight the same way. Strong, direct, honorable. He's never fought someone like me." A buzzer sounded. Time to go. The arena floor was a simple square, 50 meters on each side. The surface was made of rough metal that provided good grip for feet and claws. Bright lights shone down from above, making every movement visible to the watching crowd. Commander Vextar stood at the center of the arena, his reptilian voice carrying through the speakers. Combat challenge between Sergeant Krull of Bronta Prime and Cadet Jiwon Kim of Earth. Rules are traditional Brontanian style. Fight continues until death, unconsciousness, or formal surrender. Medical teams are standing by. Jiwon walked onto the arena floor. The crowd noise was incredible. Cheering, shouting, clicking, and sounds he couldn't identify. Most of it sounded like they were betting against him. Then Sergeant Krull entered from the opposite side. Jiwon had seen Krull many times, but never like this. The Brontanian had removed his instructor uniform and wore only simple gray shorts. His massive body was covered in scars from old battles. Each scar told a story of someone who had tried to hurt him and failed. Krull stood 9 feet tall and weighed over 400 pounds. His gray skin looked like stone armor. His arms were as thick as Jiwon's entire body. Sharp claws extended from his fingertips, each one longer than a knife blade. In comparison, Jiwon looked like a child. At 5 feet 8 inches and 165 pounds, he was barely half Krull's size. His black academy uniform made him look even smaller against the alien's massive frame. The crowd went quiet as both fighters approached the center circle. "Any last words, human?" Krull asked. His voice was confident, almost bored. "Good luck," Jiwon replied. Krull laughed. "I don't need luck to squash insects." Commander Vextar raised his hand. "Fighters ready? Begin." Second one. Krull immediately charged forward with a deafening roar that echoed through the arena. His strategy was simple and brutal. Use his size and strength to end the fight quickly. His right arm pulled back, claws extended, aiming for Jiwon's chest. The attack would have torn through a human body like paper. But Jiwon didn't do what everyone expected. He didn't dodge backward. He didn't try to block. He didn't run away. Instead, he ran directly toward Krull. The crowd gasped in shock. It looked like suicide. A tiny human charging straight at a creature that could kill him with one swipe. Second 2. As Krull's massive claw swipe came down, Jiwon suddenly dropped into a slide. His body hit the arena floor and skidded forward on his side, moving beneath Krull's attack and between the alien's legs. Krull's own momentum carried him forward. He was moving too fast to stop or change direction. For one brief moment, his lower body was completely exposed as Jiwon slid underneath him. Jiwon's right hand shot upward with surgical precision. His knuckles struck a specific point on Krull's lower torso, just below the rib cage where Brontanian anatomy placed their primary nerve cluster. The strike wasn't hard by human standards. Jiwon couldn't generate enough force to seriously damage Krull's armored skin. But he didn't need to damage anything. He just needed to hit the right spot with perfect accuracy. Second 3. Krull's entire nervous system seized up like someone had cut his power cord. His legs stopped working. His arms went limp. His roar cut off in the middle as his vocal cords froze. The massive Brontanian crashed face first into the arena floor with a sound like a falling tree. His body hit so hard that the metal surface cracked. He didn't move after that. Ji-won rolled to his feet completely unharmed. He stood over Krull's motionless form, breathing normally, not even sweating. The arena was silent. 2,000 beings from dozens of species stared in complete shock. No one moved. No one spoke. Even the medical teams forgot to rush forward. 3 seconds. The legendary Sergeant Krull had been defeated in 3 seconds by a human cadet. Is he dead? Someone finally whispered. Ji-won knelt beside Krull and checked for breathing and pulse. He's alive, he announced. Just paralyzed. It should wear off in about 10 minutes. Commander Vextar found his voice. Winner, Cadet Ji-won Kim of Earth. 30. Crowd exploded. Some aliens cheered. Others shouted in anger. A few just sat in stunned silence. The sound was deafening. Dr. Hanari, the Academy's chief medical officer, rushed onto the arena floor with her team. She was a tall, blue-skinned, Altarian with 4 arms and advanced medical training. How? She asked Ji-won as her team examined Krull. Nerve cluster disruption. Temporary paralysis of the motor cortex. No permanent damage. Dr. Hanari stared at him. You know Brontanian anatomy that well? I studied it. For how long? One night. She looked from Ji-won to the massive, motionless Krull. One night of study let you defeat a 15-year combat veteran in 3 seconds? The study helped, but mostly I just used his own momentum against him. He expected me to fight like other aliens, strong and direct. When I didn't do what he expected, he couldn't adapt fast enough. By now, Krull was starting to move slightly. His fingers twitched, his eyes began to focus. Dr. Hanari helped him sit up slowly. What happened? Krull asked groggily. You lost, Ji-won said simply. Do you need medical attention? Krull looked around the arena, seeing the crowd, remembering the fight. His expression went through several emotions: confusion, anger, and finally something that might have been respect. You used precise anatomical knowledge, he said slowly. Yes. And my own attack pattern against me. Yes. That was very clever. Krull struggled to his feet with Dr. Hanari's help. He was still unsteady, but his motor functions were returning. He looked down at Ji-won for a long moment. I have fought in 3 galactic wars, he said. I have faced the best warriors from a dozen species, and a 19-year-old human from a primitive planet just defeated me in 3 seconds. I'm sorry if I hurt your honor, Ji-won said. Hurt my honor? Krull laughed, a sound like distant thunder. Boy, you just taught me more about combat than I learned in 15 years of warfare. There is no shame in losing to superior tactics. He extended one massive hand toward Ji-won. After a moment's hesitation, Ji-won shook it. I formally request to train under human combat methods, Krull announced to the crowd. If this is what humans can do after 5 years in space, I want to learn what they might accomplish after 50. The arena erupted again, but this time the sound was different. Instead of shock and anger, Ji-won heard excitement and curiosity. The aliens weren't looking at him like a dangerous freak anymore. They were looking at him like a teacher. As the crowd began to disperse, Instructor Minji ran onto the arena floor and grabbed Ji-won in a tight hug. That was incredible, she said. But also completely insane. Do you realize what you just did? Ji-won looked around at the departing aliens. Many of them were talking excitedly, gesturing toward him, clearly discussing what they had just witnessed. I think I just changed how they see humans, he said. You changed how they see everything, Minji replied. Speed and intelligence just beat size and strength in front of the entire academy. That's going to have consequences. Good consequences or bad consequences? Before Minji could answer, Commander Vexitar approached them. His yellow reptilian eyes were bright with excitement. Cadet Kim, report to my office tomorrow morning at 800 hours. Am I in trouble, sir? Trouble? Vexitar laughed, a hissing sound. Son, you just proved that human combat methodology deserves serious study. The Galactic Council is going to want to hear about this. All of it. As they left the arena, Ji-Wan realized that everything had changed. For the past 2 years, humans had been the new species, the weak ones, the ones who needed to prove themselves. After tonight, they were the species that everyone else wanted to understand. The 3-second war was over, but Ji-Wan had a feeling that the real fighting was just beginning. News traveled fast in the Galactic military network. Within 6 hours of the 3-second fight, every major military base in known space had received the combat recording. Within 12 hours, strategic analysts on 50 different worlds were studying frame-by-frame breakdowns of how a human cadet had defeated a legendary Brontanian warrior. By the 3rd day, the Galactic Council was holding emergency sessions. This changes everything, Admiral Zexhai announced to the assembled representatives. The ancient Corvani leader had commanded fleets for over 2 centuries. We assumed humans were technologically primitive because their weapons were simple. We never considered that they might be strategically superior. Representative Mordu from the Altarian Empire stood up. One lucky victory doesn't prove anything. This Krull character was probably overconfident. Sergeant Krull has never lost a combat in 15 years of warfare, Admiral Zexhai replied coldly. And this wasn't luck. Watch the recording again. The human planned every move perfectly. At the Galactic Military Academy, everything had changed overnight. Ji-Wan couldn't walk through the hallways without alien cadets stopping to ask questions. Some wanted to know about human fighting techniques. Others asked about Earth's military history. A few just stared at him like he was some kind of dangerous animal. This is weird, Hyan said as they walked to breakfast. His back injuries were healing well, and he was back to normal training. 3 days ago they ignored us. Now they watch everything we do. Better than being treated like weaklings, Suhi replied. She had been promoted to advanced engineering classes after her performance in the war simulation. Ji-Wan said nothing. He was thinking about his meeting with Commander Vexitar that morning. The Galactic Council wants a full report on human combat capabilities, Vexitar had explained. They're also requesting detailed analysis of Earth's military history. Some species are concerned. Concerned about what? About what happens when a species that spent 200,000 years learning to kill everything on their own planet decides to expand into space. Now, walking through the Academy cafeteria, Ji-Wan understood what Vexitar meant. The alien cadets weren't just curious about humans anymore. Some of them looked nervous. A few even looked scared. At the instructor's table, Sergeant Krull was eating with the other combat trainers. He had requested permission to study human fighting methods, and Commander Vexitar had approved it. Every morning, Krull trained with Instructor Minji to learn Earth-style combat techniques. It's embarrassing, Krull had admitted to his fellow instructors. A lifetime of military training and a human teenager taught me more about fighting in 3 seconds than I learned in 3 wars. How? Asked Captain Veltar, a Zephyrian officer. They don't fight to prove they're strong. They fight to win. There's a big difference. Professor Thyron, the insectoid tactics instructor, had become fascinated with human strategic thinking. He spent hours interviewing the human cadets about Earth's military history. Remarkable, he told his colleague, Dr. Hanari. Humans fought continuous wars for millennia before developing space travel. Most species achieve peace before reaching the stars. Humans reached the stars while still perfecting the art of war. Is war that good or bad? Dr. Hanari asked. For us? Probably very good if we're smart enough to learn from them. 2 weeks after the fight, Instructor Minji received new orders. She was being promoted to Director of Interspecies Combat Training, a position that didn't exist before humans arrived at the Academy. Your job, Commander Vexitar explained, is to develop training programs that teach alien species to think like humans in combat situations. Think like humans how? Adaptable, unpredictable, willing to use any advantage, no matter how small. Minji looked at the orders again. Sir, some species might see this as an insult. Teaching aliens to fight, like primitive humans. The species that think humans are primitive are the ones who need this training most. The galaxy is a dangerous place. We can't afford to ignore effective combat methods just because they come from a young species. 1 month after the fight, the first new group of human cadets arrived at the academy. Ji-won watched from the observation deck as their transport ship docked. 25 young humans from Earth, ready to prove themselves in the galactic military. But something was different this time. Instead of being ignored or dismissed, the new human cadets were met by a delegation of alien instructors. Commander Vextar himself greeted them at the airlock. Professor Thyron was there to discuss their tactical training. Even some of the senior alien cadets had come to welcome them. "Look at that," Hyon said, joining Ji-won at the observation window. 6 months ago, we were treated like curiosities. Now they're rolling out the welcome ceremony. Everything changed, Suhi agreed. One fight changed how they see all humans. Ji-won nodded, but he was thinking about something else. Through the window, he could see Earth in the distance, a small blue dot among the stars. It looked peaceful from here, but he knew better. That peaceful-looking planet had created a species that could adapt to any environment, survive any threat, and win any fight. "They still don't understand," he said quietly. "Understand what?" Hyon asked. "Why we're so good at this. They think it's because we're naturally violent or because Earth made us tough. But that's not it." "Then what is it?" Ji-won thought about. The 3-second fight. About Krull's surprise when his opponent didn't do what was expected. About how human tactics confused alien instructors because they didn't follow the rules. "We're not better because we're stronger or more violent," he said. "We're better because we had to be. On Earth, if you fought the same way as everyone else, you died. The species that survived were the ones that could adapt, improvise, and find new solutions to old problems." Suhi looked thoughtful. "So we're not actually better fighters. We're just better at learning how to fight." "Exactly. And now we're in a galaxy full of species who've been fighting the same way for centuries. They're strong, but they're predictable. We're going to teach them to be unpredictable too." Down in the docking bay, the new human cadets were being given the grand tour. Alien students were asking them questions about Earth, about human combat, training, about what it was like growing up on a death world. Commander Vextar found Ji-won later that evening in the Academy library. The young human was studying xenobiology texts, learning about the anatomy and psychology of different alien species. "Cadet Kim," Vextar said, "I have news. The Galactic Council has approved a new training program. Advanced strategic combat designed specifically for promising officers from all species. They want you to help design the curriculum." Ji-won looked up from his books. "Sir, I'm just a second-year cadet." "You're the cadet who proved that size and strength mean nothing without adaptability and intelligence. The galaxy needs officers who understand that lesson." "What about my regular classes? You'll be promoted to advanced status. Accelerated graduation with immediate officer candidate placement upon completion." Ji-won thought about this. A year ago, he was just another human trying to prove he belonged at the academy. Now they wanted him to help train the next generation of galactic military leaders. Will other humans be included in this program? All qualified candidates, regardless of species. But yes, we expect many humans will be selected. Your species has much to teach us. That night, Ji-won sat in his dormitory room writing a message to his family on Earth. Through his window, he could see the Academy's training ships flying practice maneuvers among the stars. "Dear Mom and Dad," he wrote, "remember when you worried that I wasn't strong enough for military training? Well, it turns out that strength isn't what matters most out here. The galaxy is full of strong species. What it needs is smart species. Species that can adapt and learn and find new ways to solve old problems. Species like us." He paused, thinking about how to explain everything that had happened. "The aliens used to think we were weak because we came from a primitive planet. Now, they're starting to understand that Earth isn't primitive. It's just different. We didn't develop advanced technology because we were too busy learning how to survive. And survival, it turns out, is the most advanced technology of all." Outside, his window, a new transport ship was approaching the academy. More cadets from across the galaxy, coming to learn the art of war in the cold darkness between the stars. But now they would also learn something else, that the newest species in the galaxy had something valuable to teach about the oldest profession in the universe. The age of human warfare among the stars had begun, and everyone wanted to learn from the teachers who had turned fighting into an art form, while the rest of the galaxy was still learning to count.